Okay folks, we know basically nothing about Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Despite seeing what feels like a ton of content, all of this, all 4 trailers, teaser clips and other online social media posts by Nintendo are essentially just scratching the surface of what will be the full game. One area in particular that we know very little about is the story and plot points of the game. Obviously they wouldn't be revealed in great detail prior to release to avoid spoiling the game's twists and turns, but we do have enough teases and glimpses to spark tons of speculation. I've focused a lot on mysteries and ideas regarding this game, but today, let's focus on the actual story and plot points and go over some that I would love to see in the game. From developments on already existing lore, to answering our questions on new and unforeseeable plot twists that the game hopefully has in store. Let's do this. Be sure to go and grab yourself a snack or drink and send them in to get featured right here, and also be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps the channel out. And let's get into this one. Starting off where I believe we will start off playing the game, the Sky Islands, or Skylands. I would like to see a good amount of story regarding their origins. Now, that may seem like a very safe or obvious choice here, but I don't believe it necessarily is. If you look at the series as a whole, there are tons of examples of locations and structures that appear, but are never fully explained. I could see the Skylands appearing and having some sort of reason for their appearance, being present, but I don't think it's certain that their origins will be delved into. Mysteries are the building blocks of Zelda lore, and leaving the origin side of it unanswered wouldn't be out of the ordinary. However, I really hope that they do delve into this. The Skylands are so incredibly intriguing, and on Nintendo's socials, they've really been pushing them. In the 4 trailers so far, they're arguably the most featured new part of the game showing off. It's clear that they'll play a very significant role in the game's story and traversal. I will admit that if their origins are left a mystery, that'd be absolutely fine, as it keeps the doors open for theories and speculations, which, you know, means more content to make. However, they intrigue me so much that I honestly would like to know their origins. Were they built long ago? Did they magically appear? Have they served a purpose previously, long before the events we're seen in Tears of the Kingdom? It's an awesome mystery, and I hope we get some sort of story explaining the origins. My next hope for a story plot point being present in the game is a bit tricky, mainly down to all the variables that could make it possible, but I'll mostly avoid the exact details to just discuss it generally. That piece of story being, seeing Hyrule in repair following the events of Breath of the Wild. As mentioned, a ton of different variables go into this. We don't know anything about how the time frame or time frames of this game will pan out. We might not see much or anything at all directly following Breath of the Wild. We also might get a full-on look at Hyrule after the calamity, or even after a period of time following it. We simply don't know. However, in any way, shape or form, I would love to get something on Hyrule in a stage of repair. Not just a cutscene, opening segment or flashback. I'd like a proper part of the game's story to go into this. Seeing how the people of Hyrule approach life following the defeat of a beast that has been shadowing their lives for 100 years. Following the same beast near destroying everything. I want a section of the story taking us through Hyrule rebuilding, particularly Central Hyrule and the Heart of the Kingdom, Castletown and Hyrule Castle, or even just see more people out and about in the region which for 100 years has been dominated by Guardians. Additionally, how all the far reaches of Hyrule are now approaching life knowing it's significantly safer. Let's get some little plot points around repairing towns and villages, reclaiming Central Hyrule, and even rebuilding the Knights of Hyrule to strengthen the defense of the kingdom for any future attack. Shit, we've already got another. Jokes aside, I think many of us want to see Hyrule at peace. At least for a little while. Hence why I'd like some part of the story going into the process of rebuilding the Kingdom of Hyrule. Based on this opening shot alone, take a guess at what this story plot point hope is. I'll give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Yup, Zonai. The Zonai. I hope that we get a massive Zonai dedicated plot / lore development. Going off everything we've seen in the trailers so far, it's looking rather likely that the influence of the mysterious Zonai tribe has increased from Breath of the Wild. Massively. Now of course, like nearly everything regarding Tears of the Kingdom, this is very open and speculative. With that said, the first part of this massive plot and lore development that I'd like to see is some history. We know very little about the history of the Zonai. There are countless amazing theories, but nothing actually confirmed as of yet. I'd personally really like to see some of our questions answered in that regard. Perhaps all throughout the adventure we learn bits and pieces about their history, and once all added up, we have a much better idea of their origins and early stages of life, back when they were prospering and doing magical shit. I'd also like to see a lot of the story revolve around their current influence. We've seen the famous labyrinths lift up, the Typhlo ruins cleared of its black fog, and I believe something up with the Thundra Plateau. All Zonai connected structures. Something is going on with them, and it's massive. Not to mention all of the mysterious new technology we've seen, which has been extremely theorized and speculated to be works of the Zonai. Not to mention what I previously dubbed as Zonai Gloop. Not to mention all the symbolism that can easily be linked to the Zonai. Their influence is clear in my opinion. It's just a matter of how much will they truly be involved in the actual game. I hope that there is a massive story plot around them. As mentioned, going into their history and current influence. But there is one more thing I'd like to see with all of this. It's pretty hopeful thinking, but I would love to see a Zonai. A person of the tribe. I'm not quite sure what would be required to make something like that possible, but I'd assume a form of time travel or finding a location in which the Zonai potentially moved to. Perhaps deep underground? Maybe high in the sky? Who knows? The returning King of Evil, Ganondorf, is no doubt going to have a huge story around him. Being the big bad that he is, that isn't a question. So obviously my hope here isn't him having a story. He will obviously have a story. What I'm hoping for in regards to him are two parts of his story. Firstly, Origins. I want to know how he came to be sealed like this deep below Hyrule. The full story of what events took place at least 10,000 years ago to result in what we find here. I want an explanation on the hand holding him down and why. Ideally in some form of an intense flashback cutscene. That'd be bloody epic. Then there is the inevitable main story that he will have, but the other thing I'm hoping to be present is at the very end of his story this time around. When it comes to it, of course Link is going to defeat Ganondorf. I'd imagine anyway. Assuming Link does end up defeating Ganondorf, I could see Ganondorf being sealed away or classed as dead for a long time once again. The real life time frame between his last appearance in Twilight Princess and now in Tears of the Kingdom is roughly 16 years. His last mainline appearance came in 2006. In-game lore terms, at least 10,000 years ago. I could see this game beginning another long period of not seeing him. I hope his story isn't over entirely here, as I love Ganondorf, and he is the face of this series. Anyway, what I want to see is some sort of emotional ending speech before Link finishes him off. Something similar to how he utters some final words after being impaled through the skull with the Master Sword in the Wind Waker, but a lot more. More in the sense of Link taking it all out of him. Ganondorf has given up and is on his knees, ready to be finished. But before Link does so, we get an emotional piece of dialogue from Ganondorf, showing us his true self, that he was once just a Gerudo man. He once cared for his people. He almost was successful before. References all over the place to his past appearances, and it ends on both Ganondorf and Link shedding a tear. How symbolic. Yeah, pretty imaginative I know, but it sounds cool in my head. My last pick for the video is actually very fitting for what it is. At the end of the story, I'd like to see some form of post-game story. Admittedly, this isn't common at all for Zelda games. I believe the only mainline games to contain some form of post-game content are the Oracle games with their link-up story, following the story of each game. Other than that, Zelda games just go back to your last save following the ending of the story, often marking your save file with a star or something to note that you have actually completed the game. What I mean is an actual story after the main story. For example, after defeating Calamity Ganon in Breath of the Wild, we could have gone on to repair Hyrule and work alongside Princess Zelda on various projects. That would be post-game content, or exploring beyond Hyrule. Just something that comes after the main storyline, but builds on it. It goes from that. I'd love for this to be a thing in Tears of the Kingdom. The chances are against it for a reason I already mentioned. that being that this just isn't common for Zelda games. But hey, Breath of the Wild changed things massively, so why can't Tears of the Kingdom? It looks like it already is. What's to say there can't be even more? We'll see. As for what kind of post-game content I'd like to see, that really depends on how things look following the main story. If Hyrule isn't repaired, I'd like to do that, as well as build up new settlements with help from Bolson Construction. I'd also love to explore some areas we've never explored, whether that's the further reaches of Hyrule, or some alternate realms. For all I know, that might be part of the main game. I just want something. The ideas for post-game content are fairly endless, as almost anything works. I think us getting a DLC pack or two is much more likely, but who knows? We'll find out soon enough. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is less than 60 days away from release at the time of releasing this video. I very much believe we are still to see more on the game before it comes out in the form of another trailer and likely some gameplay. I'd hope that this comes in a dedicated Nintendo Direct, but we'll just have to wait and see. I hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts on some story and plot points that I'd like to see in the game. I cannot express just how excited I am to play this game and share all of my fun thoughts, theories, mysteries and ideas with all of you. It's going to be amazing, it's going to be special, and I'm really looking forward to it. Let me know what story and plot points you're hoping to see in Tears of the Kingdom by leaving a cheeky little comment down below. I'd appreciate it very much. Be sure to drop a wee like down below if you enjoyed, and also consider subscribing for more fabulous Zelda content all the way up to the release of Tears of the Kingdom and beyond. Follow my social media pages linked below to keep up to date, or send in a snack or drink photo. And as always, a huge massive amazing shout out goes to all of my channel supporters. Thanks a ton. Your support really helps me to make these videos week in, week out, all month long, 365 days a year. If you'd like to join them and get yourself a shout out upon joining and your name at the end of every video, then consider supporting via the links below. Thanks for watching. I hope you all have an amazing day or night, and until the next time, I've been Hyrule Gamer.